Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 95. This week has been mainly about one project, the Sci Fi project, mainly because I need to finish it this week, or early next week as we're standing now. So yeah, but that's been a bit of a struggle for me because motivation wise I work much better when I've got multiple threads, which is why towards the end of the video you'll see I go back to the model railway, which is brilliant, but also there's a couple of other projects I'm attempting to bring more online, such as the Dinosaur boat diorama, which I've finally finished painting, and I'm really pleased to hopefully get that onto the table. So yeah, bit of a struggle this week, busy at work, low motivation for modelling, but I have managed to get something done. Please do comment below, let me know what you think. Really do enjoy reading them and I reply to them all. And as always, thanks for watching. Actually quite hard filming this build with rubbish because it's hard to pick it out from the background. But anyway, the next step I'm going to be working on is, as I've said, I want to have some card that's going to go out here and then from both sides past the these bottle tops, and then I'll have some kind of curved or something like that I'll probably do with paper. But I'm going to do this bit with cards, so it's going to be a little bit structural. And what I've got here is it's a box from a keyboard. So it's got folds already, which are going to be useful for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate down here and down here. So I'll cut this central bit out, and then this on this side will be good for the other side, and this on this side, as you can see, will glue in quite nicely like that. The other thing that I've decided to do, I think, I'm still playing around with the top, is I've got this pot here which is damaged. So it was actually in the pile to be thrown away because I broke the bottom of it. But I think that will sit quite nicely over the top there. So I might need to scallop around or do something around with this folded area here so that can actually still fit in. But I'll probably do that after it's glued because I'm still not totally sure that I'm going to do that. So I'm going to cut that out and stick that on, just using PVA, I think. And I'll just do both. I won't do any cutting at this end. I'll just glue it on at each side of this upright and let it stick out, and then when I've worked out exactly where I want it to cut, I can come along with a very sharp knife and cut that down, or use scissors or whatever. But I'll just glue it at this end at this stage. I think I won't try to glue it to the bottle tops just yet. So yeah, so I'll get that done, get that cut, and I'll show you what it looks like when that is finished. I'm starting to settle into this now. So what I've done is I've done some cutting and I've done some thinking, and here is the next step. So I've cut out these veins, which are what's going to stick here, and I'm really happy with that. I did like a geometric shape to have it coming down. As you can see, I changed my mind halfway through. Got a little line here, decided not to cut down the bottom there, and I've done that on both sides. I just did one as a template and then cut round it. So I've got two identical veins which can go here and on the other side. But then I was sat looking at these bottle tops, and I just don't think that I want to join in or cover that over. I think I quite like how this is looking now at the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make use of these little drinking cups which I have for mixing. They're quite delicate, but this is a diorama, so it's not going to get handled. I wouldn't recommend you use these if you were going to be doing this for gaming with, though that would be pretty cool as a central terrain piece, I think, wouldn't it, in a sci-fi. And I'm going to make use again of my Extreme Fix Power, which is also I'm really starting to enjoy using. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to put a bead all the way around the edge, around the rim, like so, and then press it down, and that's unfortunately going to have to go off, so it will now delay me a little bit. Once these are dried, then I can put the veins on, and then I'm probably not far off done on the rocket ship, which is pretty cool. I can go and I'm going to use aerosols on it because all the weird materials that mix together. So once I've done this and everything's glued together, I'll start painting. So yeah, so we'll put a bead round and then just sit that on top like that. Ta-da. And I don't mind it being a little bit messy because it will look like it's got a little bit of a weld on it, and I'm deliberately pushing it towards the centre. That's what I want to have. I want them to be kind of like leaning in a little bit. So I'll do the other one, let that to dry, and then we'll look at gluing these veins on. And also potentially gluing the top on, which you can't see because of where I've zoomed. So I've still got that paste thing which I'll glue on after I've glued the veins on. I also have this material which I am very much considering cladding it with because I think that looks quite cool, so I might even add that on, but I'll decide that once everything's dry. It fall on the floor. So yeah, let's get these glued in place and then I'll be back once I've done the veins and if I'm going to do anything before painting. Just had a crazy cool idea making use of these offcuts that are obviously matching. So what I'm doing is I'm putting them on as veins and I'm using the same glue. Again, that's super kind of cool glue that I'm starting to love a lot for this project particularly. And I thought I'd just film now to show you how I'm going about gluing it. So I ran a bead down the side of each of the carb bits, and then what I'm doing is I'm actually using my finger to smush it in and make it into a smooth and also slightly wrapped around so that it gives a little bit more support and a little bit more structure. So that is all now glued together. The top is glued to the bottom, the veins on the back are glued in as well, so the wings are glued, and I've used the same glue again on those. So everything is now glued. I'm now going to step away for a little bit, let that all dry, and decide what I'm going to do in terms of painting and whether I'm going to make use of any more of these awesome geometric shapes. Like for example, we could have these down here or something right down at the bottom of the model, but I'll come back, I'll save those and come to that later. I do still need to work out the engines and the landing legs, but the landing legs I think I'm going to do last because I'm not sure yet whether it's going to be a flat plane like I said or whether it's going to be wonky, and if it's wonky then I'll need to have the legs adjust itself to actually hold the rocket upright. If it's flat obviously I can just have them all the same, but what I'll probably end up doing is building the legs actually into the terrain and then setting this on top. So yeah, I also have the as I said, the engines to do, so but I need to let all this dry before I do that because that's going to be working on the bottom of the model. But that's really good progress and I'm really starting to get into this. I'm starting to enjoy myself quite a lot. I've lined it down because when I'm standing it up the shot is just too crazy in landscape mode. So this is now all dry and I'm currently debating whether I'm going to go and put my paint on it, spray paint it. I think I might do. I haven't yet put that strange kind of like texture on the back here, which I was quite tempted by, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to now or not. That's the only thing that's holding me back at the moment from doing the painting. I was going to stick the rocket motors, the old this is an old shower thing, going to put it in there, but I think I'm going to do that after I've done the spraying because I want to keep that silver. So yes, I'm not going to stick that on just yet. And the other thing is I'm going to mask off the clear plastic that's on the front. I am very nervous of moving this around. It's holding out so far at the moment. But this clear here, I'm going to mask that off as well when I do my painting because I don't want to have that painted. So yeah, so I'm just having an argument at the moment about that texture, but I think probably I'm just going to go and paint it now, and then I'm going to get started on the actual terrain, which is the next most important thing to do, because if I don't do that I haven't got anything. So yeah, I'll bring you along for the next step shortly. So I decided against adding that texture, and I think I'm going to go for it how it is now. I may need to add something else to the very top, but for now I need to do the priming of the black. So I'm going to spray it all black with some car spray, rally spray paint there, and then I'll then put some aluminium and some other colours on it as well, just to mix it up. I have some metallic gold as well, which I may well use. I'll just have a bit of a play around with it. But first of all, it's going to be sprayed all over with the black. So let's get that done. So I've got to give credit to Lucky from Zorbazorb for this next idea, or the blame if it doesn't work, obviously. So I've had lots of thoughts and I've decided what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Luke's modelling compound, and I've got some mixed up here as you can see, not very much, and I'm going to take my Green Stuff World roller for a temple. That's what I think I'm going to do. And I'm going to spread the modelling compound on, and I'm going to use the roller to roller a pattern in. So let's move this out the way and then see how well this works. He's been raving about it as a method. Let's find out if he's raving mad or or a genius. I don't know if I've mixed enough up. Actually, it's pretty clear that I haven't. So I will have to mix more up, but I'll do that off camera. I'll do that after I've finished this attempt. Let's just do this attempt live on camera, as is my wont. What I'm going to do basically is do this whole area in the front. So I probably should have started back here. Whole area in the front and roller on the the temple, and then I'll build up over the top of that once it's dried and do the rest of the terrain. So I think this is going to be flat, and then I might do a little bit of a rise. But let's just see if this works. Not very well. It might need to be a bit drier. That hasn't put anything in. What were you talking about, Lucky? What were you talking about? Look. Gives the very barest of impressions. It could work for ruins, I think, but that's not really what I'm going for. Right, I'm going to have a think again, because I might need to do this with air dry clay, which is a bit of a pain. I don't really want to have to do that. It's not going to be as easy to use to do as the modelling compound, but it might work. I'm not sure. Well, I'm going to keep playing around and see whether I can work out what I'm doing wrong. And if I can, I'll bring you back and tell you. And if I can't, then I'll just throw it away. So I've worked out a way I think that it works. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that it's not too wet, because that was clearly too wet before. So spread it out smooth, let it go off so that it's not going to be as sticky, because it was just too sticky. And then when you have that, then you should be able to press in. Okay, still too sticky. Still too sticky, that. But yeah, so it's just a case of being a bit more patient and not trying to press it in while the modelling compound is too wet. Because if it's too wet, then it won't take the impression very well. It will just pick it up. So this is still even a little bit too wet, but it's making. But that's what you got to do, and also make sure that you wash your green stuff roller regularly so that it doesn't dry on. So there we are. Maybe Lucky wasn't quite so mad. Glad I've given it a go. I'm not sure whether I'll keep it. I'm going to see what it looks like in the morning, basically. Make a decision then. I reckon with a bit of a dry brush this could look okay. It's certainly not going to be as neat as I wanted it to be though. So I might end up putting air dry clay over the top anyway, because that will then be really clear and neat, which is more the impression that I wanted to have. But for ruins, this is a cracking idea. If you don't mind it looking a bit scrotty, then this is a really good idea. You can see it's starting to get dry enough now and to actually take an impression. So there we are. So Lucky wasn't completely mad, but still I don't think it's as good as air dry clay. There we are. I've left it a whole day thinking about this, and I'm not happy with how that has turned out. It's not as detailed or as specific as I wanted it to be. So what I'm going to do is I've got out my DAS, and I'm going to roller that on over the entirety of the board to thin, and then use my roller on top of it, which is a different way to what I usually use it. Normally I would roll it onto my rolling board, but I want to have the whole thing covered, which is going to be a bit interesting. So I don't know how well this is going to work either. I'm basically going to cut a lump off, roll it on and then put PVA underneath it, get it all smooth and glued down, and then put the impression in and then leave it overnight. So yes, I don't know how well this is going to work, but I'll probably leave the camera running, put some music on. I might move the camera a bit because it's a little bit in my way, and then you can see how it goes and laugh along at any mistakes I make. So let's just see how this works. That was pretty tough. Took about 15 minutes in elapsed time to do that, and yeah, had issues with the first of all trying to actually smooth it out on top of this. The modelling compound was drying out the clay, so I had to go and get another of the same size of shelf as this is. As it turns out, I actually didn't do enough, but it'll be fine. I'm happy enough with that. And then I had lots of trouble with sticking it down, so it wasn't sticking and the clay was lifting. As I say all the time, clay is not sticky, so you need PVA if you're going to stick it to something else, otherwise it will just crack and lift. But it's a bit messy, but it's better than the white, it's better than the original underneath with the modelling compound, and I'm happy enough with that. So I'll let that to go off overnight now, and then tomorrow I can start painting. I am not going to glue that in just yet, because I want it all to dry. I was just playing around with the positioning then, so I'll let that dry, and then tomorrow first thing I can glue the wood, the driftwood in, start to build up the little tunnels and caverns that I want, and then I can paint it and start to actually finish it off. This will come together very quickly. I'm now going to go down and work a little bit more on the actual rocket. So this has turned out really nice with that black undercoat. As you can see, I've got quite good coverage, apart from a little bit there that I've just noticed. I hadn't seen until I started filming. That's typical. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to spray it silver, and I'm thinking that I might try to avoid spraying these because I might put those as a different colour. But yeah, pretty happy so far. I think that's looking pretty good. I will show you what it looks like when it's been sprayed to the next colour. I don't know if I've ruined it or if I've made it awesome. What I've done is I've tried to make this look glowing and red, so I've tried to make it so that it's got a little bit of kind of a glow effect, just using spray paint, and then I've come in as well with some gold on top of the silver and picked out some details with the gold. So I'm going to let that settle in my mind, come back to that tomorrow. I've also gassed myself slightly, I need to get out of this room. So yeah, we'll see what I think about that in the morning, but it's coming on. It looks like a rocket, doesn't it? It's the next evening now. It's been Angela's birthday, so we've been out. It's been really lovely. So I'm a little later starting, but that's cool. I'd much rather have gone out with her than do this, honestly. So what I'm going to be doing now is starting to build up the back terrain. And you can see here's the driftwood that I picked up from Thasos. What I've done is I'm using a block just to make sure that it doesn't go over the edge of the back, because I need to mount this on the wall, and if I overhang the back that won't work very well at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it down using my Extreme Fix from Moment, which I'm really liking, as you'll see in other videos at the moment. So yeah, so I'm going to glue that down, and then what I actually want to have some of these to be caves, and so what I've spent a little bit of time thinking about is how I'm going to do that. And what I think I'm going to do for this cave in particular is build, once this is glued down, is build cardboard out the back, and then I'll build over the top with modelling compound. And I'm going to do the same here, and I'm going to do the same here, so there can be a little cave things, and I can have it with some depth, which I really want to do. I've not really done much of that. It's something that I'd love to explore, and I think this is the perfect time. And I will bring you along for that, obviously, but first of all what I'm going to do is take my Extreme Fix and glue this down. But what I have realised is I need another block, so let me get one of these weights, and I need to make sure that when I put this down, I put it down in exactly the same place, and just using a block at each end means that I don't hang or overhang, and I can position it accurately. So we'll put some sticky here, and we'll put some sticky here. It doesn't actually touch in many places, this. And I think that's it. Didn't put that sticky in the right place. So I need to move that. That sticky's probably okay. Let's just smear some of that away. Yeah, I can put a little bit under here. And I need to move this a bit further inland there. Right, so that now. Make sure it's not going over. Ah, you see. That now should be good. There we are. There we are, we've done it. That's a bit of a fettle, I realised that I'd actually wanted it a little bit upright. It's not actually supporting itself, so I'm going to need to let that dry, otherwise it will just flop backwards because I'm actually gluing it in a non-supported way. And what I might do is, when it's a little bit more dry and even now, just come in along the back and put some more of this glue in just to kind of hold it a little bit. But really I should probably be using foam for this. So I might get some squirty foam, expanding foam, I don't use it very often, and just put a little bit, a tiny bit, not very much, in behind here because I need to support it. And then yeah, I'll let that go off. So when I come to do the next step, which probably won't be tonight now, I hadn't realised how much that was unstable, I will bring you along when I come to the next bit, which will probably be tomorrow now. So I've been sat looking at this and I've decided to have an experiment, and I've got all of the remaining tinfoil in the house. Angela is very pleased with me, obviously, because I've been watching quite a few people recently who have been using tinfoil in their crafting to make armatures. One guy in particular I'm thinking of, who is on the Moonstone Discord, has been using it to make these most amazing trees. I mean, they just blow your mind. Really, really, really cool. And if you are not on the Moonstone Discord, I will try to remember to add an invite below, and you should come and join and have a look. It's a great game and a great community, and there are some really, really talented painters and artists on there. But anyway, that's by the by. He's been using the tin foil, and it made me think, is that the solution to this? Because what I want is, I want to have quite a rocky texture, but I don't want it to be card or paper because it might collapse when I put any weight on it. So what I'm going to try to do is as you can see here, I've got a thick wad, oh, it's gone out of focus, apologies, got a thick wad of tinfoil which I've just kind of folded over and over and over. And what I'm going to try to do is shape that and then glue it in place so that I have a void. And what I'll then do is potentially screw up paper on. So once I've glued that on, I'll put a thin skim of plaster or modelling compound on, and then screw paper up to build up the rest of the terrain, as I've done before in the model railway, and then put another layer of the modelling compound over the top. So I'm not going to use loads and loads of modelling compound, I'll use the packing paper. But this will give me that cave that I want. So let me just move the camera slightly and show you from the other angle. So you can see here that you can see into the cave, and that there is this roof here. And what I will also look to do is try to cover that with, I'm not sure how well it will paint up. I might need to just paint in some plaster to cover it. Again, this is not gaming, so it doesn't need to be particularly tough. And then I can come in and paint it and do what I need to do to make it settle in. So that's what I'm going to try and do for this. I'm just playing around at the moment. I only have very, very little of the tinfoil remaining. You see, I'm almost run out, so I'm probably not going to have enough to do all of it, but I did just want to experiment, and I think it's going to work. So there we are. The shop will be being visited tomorrow to buy some more supplies. Right, so that's now dry and pretty solid, as you can see. I can move that, and I have more tinfoil, so I'm going to be able to work on that idea that I had as well. However, I've had another idea. I am full of ideas on this project. Let's hope that they're all good. What I've got here is some mount board. Now, I ordered this in, having seen other people having great results with it, and I'm actually really pleased that I did. It's been sat in the, on a shelf for quite a while. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to use this to do a back for this whole thing. I'm not sure whether I'm going to cut it or not. At this stage, I'm not going to cut it. What I am going to do is I'm going to draw a line on that's going to be roughly the height at which I'm going to put the build this cliff up. So you could imagine that I might have this quite high, because I'm going to have the tunnel is going to go this way a little bit. So I'm going to draw the contour of that's going to go behind here, glue it in place, and then when that's in place, I will then have a better way of tying these in, and I'll be able to have these more rounded rather than flattened down. I'll be able to stick these to the back, and also I'll have something against which to shove my cardboard infill, and I'll have something against which to do the modelling compound over the top. So that's what I'm going to do. Get a pencil, draw the line, work out roughly where I want that horizon to be, and I might then try to get something on the background drop of an alien landscape, but then I might not. I might just cut it. I'm probably more likely to just cut it. And I can always stick something else on the back if I want to do an alien landscape. I do need to keep this down to a manageable scope of a project. So anyway, there we are. So I'll show what that looks like when it's stuck on. I'll probably just glue it on with PVA and clamp it, and then it'll be a case of starting to build up these caverns with my tinfoil and get them glued in. So yeah, when that's done, I will show what that looks like. But I'm quite pleased with the idea. I think it's going to really help make this a much more stable and secure and more easy to finish and make it look better. Well, I did cut it out, as you can see, and I also have painted it black, and I've also glued it to the back with PVA. So I clamped it and then held it in place with my flat weights. So what I'll now do is undo the clamps and find out if it falls off or not, and hopefully it won't. No, that seems to be well clamped, well stuck. So the next stage is going to be with the tin foil. So this is something I'm quite looking forward to because it's a technique, as I say, that I've not done before. The idea will be that I will be putting tin foil over, so for example here, to cover over, so that's going to be the roof of the cave. And the benefit of what I've done with this black background is I'm going to be able to, for example, do something like that, which is a lot better than I had before, where it was going to be a very low roof. I can actually have the cavern going right around the back, and it will look really cool when you're looking at it from down here, but to really see into the depths. But of course, with the black there, you won't be able to see, it won't look odd. So I'm gonna now do some folding and put these tinfoil things in place, glue them in place, clamp them in place, and I'll bring you back when I've done that, show you what it looks like, and then tomorrow I'll be able to come in and do the filling and do the modelling compound, because I've been crazily busy, insanely busy at work, and I've just not got to this as much as I want to, and I'm actually running quite close to running out of time, so I need to really give a big push on it. This has been stale for quite a long time. I've not actually done very much on the model railway recently for reasons of being incredibly busy at work, but I am coming to a point where I'm going to really do a big push on it. And so the first part of that big push is going to be this pull-out section. I need to get it done. And it's not far off. It doesn't actually need all that much doing to it. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is look at painting the wall using the same technique. So with the Africa for the base, and then doing a heavy dry brush of the red. On the outside, I'm going to do the same brick roll, which is what I'm going to do just now. So I'm going to roll some brick pattern into some air dry clay and glue it on there, and I'll do that on both edges. For the top and the back, I think I'm going to paint that with black grout and PVA mix so that it's a bit tougher, but just paint it black so it's just like a cut off. And then on top, what I'd like to do, I'm going to put a little bit of modelling compound, and I'm going to make use of the brambles and the thicket, and just have a brambles and thicket on top. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the brickwork on each end and paint that with the grout. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Those are techniques that you've seen a lot, so I'm not going to repeat myself there. And then when I'm coming to do the actual brambling, then we'll probably come back and do an update. But this is what I'm going to do right now. Made some good progress on this in the last day or so. So I decided to stick another side piece on here. And what I'll probably be doing is having some steps and a path going up. So that's going to be an interesting wrinkle that I had not thought of before. And what I'm now doing, excuse me, but before I get my throat, what I'm now doing is sticking in place these bits of tinfoil as the roof. So this one's been stuck and it's worked well. I'm using the moment glue again, as I've used on this build a lot. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just doing it in little bits. I've just made a cup of tea, so every time I make a cup of tea I come and I do a little bit more on this while the kettle's boiling. It's a really good way of getting a little bit done. So what I'm going to do is glue this piece in place, this piece in place, and this piece in place using my moment. And then when that goes off and that's dried, which won't take very long, next time I make a cup of tea I can come back and I can do the other pieces, because obviously they do rely on each other. So I'm building them up as a kind of self-supporting what have you. So you can see that what we're going to do is going to put some glue down here. And I'm going to put some glue on the top of this folded over bit of, tin foil, and then along the bottom. And what this will do is will allow me to then press that in place, and this is one of the things I'm really liking about using this glue. I kind of wish I'd used it more before this. I think there's plenty of projects that would have been easier if I'd been using this, but because it's thick, it actually grabs quite easily. You can see that's grabbed already, and it's going to stick. So it's a very, very easy thing to work with, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm going to go along, continue doing that, build this up, and then when it's done, then I'll bring you back for the next step. I won't film any more of this bit. I'll bring you back for the next step, which will be filling in the gaps and putting in the modelling compound, and then we'll be on to painting. As you can see, we've got the tin foil all glued in now, and I even put some in under here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up the Luke's modelling compound, or Geek Gaming as it's called now. I'm going to make up a batch of that. I'm going to put it over initially, first of all, as a relatively thin skim over the entirety of this piece. Now, one of the things that's changed while I've been working on this is the fact that I'm actually probably not going to need to do the screwed up newspaper trick, because I've actually been able to build this up much higher because I did the back. So before I was thinking I was going to need to build up quite a lot on top of the tin foil, but now I've just got a really cool big open space underneath that I can do some cool things with. I've got some ideas, and so I'm actually maybe not even going to bother doing any screwed up paper, because I probably can do most of it with the modelling compound. So that's how quick it is. It takes me to mix up my batch, and that's roughly the consistency I like to get. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along, and I won't film all of this because it is something that's been seen a lot of times, and you can watch lots of people how you do this. But I'll do this batch. So you come along and you just put it in and then smooth it over, and it goes off really nice and quick. But not just that, it also you can make it into quite a nice rock texture, which I've done a lot. I've actually done the water as well with this. Go and check out my barrels out of Bond diorama if you want to see that. I will attempt to remember to link it, but I'll probably forget. But anyway, that's by the by. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come along and I'm going to put it as a thin skin, no more than a couple of millimetres, because I really don't want to put too much weight on this tin foil. Even though it's folded over, it is still not very strong because of how I've done it. But this will dry nice and hard and will be supported, and will then mean I can come along. I might put some screwed up paper over here, but on here I won't need to, because this is roughly where I want to have the top of the rocks anyway. So I'm probably going to need to do at least one, if not two more batches, which I'll mix up now off camera and finish it off. And then when that's all gone off, I can do the next step and the next stage. And you can be sure that I will bring you along for that. I'm doing this in very, very small bursts. It is about 5 minutes before Rosie's bedtime now. So I've just got a couple of minutes to do this before I've got to go down. So get it done, it can be going off, and then when I come back up I can do the rest. That was my thinking. That's how I get so much done, by grabbing those opportunities rather than sitting down. Much as part of me would like to, I actually do prefer this. Anyway, enough rambling. I'll mix another batch up, get it on there, and I'll bring you back when I'm ready. So I mixed up some black grout mix. Link in the description below to how I do this. And mix up too much, as I always do. Now the two options you've got when you mix up too much of this. One is you can put some cling film or saran wrap, if you're American, over the top of it, put it in the fridge, and then it will last for a good couple of days, maybe maximum a week, before you need to throw it away, and you can reactivate it if it's a little bit off with a little bit of water. The second thing is randomly paint it on another model to act as a layer of sealant, which is what I'm doing in this case. So I'm just going to paint this over all of the wood, just as a first layer of sealant. Now the wood probably isn't going to end up being based black. I'm probably going to put another colour over the top, but this will act, as I say, to keep it from getting chipped, because it's the grout mix. So I'm going to do this and then let it go off. It's very early morning on Saturday, so just before Rosie wakes up, so I'm not going to have very much time, so let's get this done now. So this is how I'm going to save the modelling compound volume. I've got this packing material here. It's just come literally from Amazon or something. brown paper. And what I'm going to do, it's a bit crinkly for me to do actually while you're watching, so it'll make a very good sound. So what we're going to do, screw it up, stick it in here, and then skim over the top of it with the modelling compound. And when that's gone off, then I'll be able to do the painting. And I'm going to put some more here, and I might fill that in a little bit more as well, just over the top like that. So yeah, I'm going to do that, mix up some more compound, put it on, leave it to go off, and I'll bring you along for the next step, which will be starting to paint. There is actually a little bit more modelling compound I'm going to do as well. If we look over here, you can see we've got a little bit of a bare bit here. I'm actually going to build this up as well a little bit with some compound, just so that it looks like this might be a hole through or something, and the cliff continues on past the edge of this board. So yeah, so a little bit of compound work, and then let that go off over the next couple of hours, and then we can get stuck into painting. So I've got this done, including a first coat of the black. As you can see, the bricks are looking great. I've done that the same on the inside and everything. So what I'm now going to look at doing, as I said, is building up this top bit. So I'm going to put a very thin skim of modelling compound on it, and then I'll go ahead, paint it with the same colour as I have on the rest of the project, and then I'm going to make use of the brambles to put some interest. So I'll do that skim now, and then when I've finished painting it, which you've seen already, I'll bring you along when I'm going to start to dress it with the brambles. But I'm really pleased to have finally got to this, and very, very soon, as I'm filming this, I'm going to start working over here and start doing the rest of the town end, and yeah, we'll then have an operating railway hopefully. We're back to shaky cam so I can get into detail. So a couple of things. One, I looked at this and decided I hated it in silver, so I've painted it about black. I might do some different colours on it as well. May pick out some orange particularly, but I think that's nearly done. I've also stuck a nose cone on, which is just actually was a dip, a dip thing from a fajita kit. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to stick the engine, or rocket, the nozzle on. Puck, as they call it. So yeah, so that's just going to use the same glue in there and stick in there, and then that'll be done. And then once that's done, I'm going to need to do the legs, however I'm going to do the legs, which I've not yet decided, because over here we have the base, which is coming on nicely. You can see I've painted it black, and what I'm now going to be doing is putting the base colours on for the different areas, and I've got a couple of paints out. I think I'm going to use this lovely rich plummy red for the for one, and the kind of dusty yellow for the other. I'm not 100% sure yet exactly which order I'm going to do it in and where I'm going to do it. So I'm going to work on the rocket first, and then I'll make my mind up and start painting that, and I will bring you along when I come to the painting. But this is looking really nice, and actually is very, very close to done, because I'm not doing any grass or anything. This is going to be quite a bare world, and then I can start to position the miniatures. So yeah, get the thrust puck in place, and then I'll start considering which one of those colours I want to go where. So here we are, I've finally finished doing all the painting for this project, and now I'm going to start to assemble it. So let me briefly talk you through what we've got and what my ideas are. So you can see that the ship is pretty much done in its basics. I've got a couple of parts that are separate here. So this here is the roof for that section, and this here is the keel which goes in underneath, but I can't put that in until later because I don't want it to break off. What I've also done is a whole bunch of items which could maybe be part of the on the deck and illustrative of its cargo. So we've got some money bags and some chests and some crates and some barrels and other bits and pieces. I won't necessarily use all of these, they're just there for that. So the actual Quetzalcoatl is there and painted up with its harness on. That harness is not yet glued, but that is how this particular ship is towed, and I'll be looking at positioning that quite nicely. What we have here are the three attackers. So they're flying on pterodactyl, and they have their bows. And then we come to the crew, which is what I've just finished doing now. So pretty pleased with this. So on the left we've got the owner. This is the rich man who owns the boat. He's the merchant, and potentially his wife or his mistress or whatever, or just someone who's along for the ride. Here we have someone who is going to have an arrow in their chest and is going to be falling off the edge of the boat. So that's the idea there. We have some hired hands, some mercenaries that are going to be protecting and ready to fight off. and potentially these two here are potentially less mercenaries, maybe part of the crew. This one I just loved with the kind of crazy dog type creature. So these are going to be on the ship, ready to defend it against these pirate types who are coming on their pterodactyls. So yeah, I'm very pleased with how it's looking. I'm really looking forward to getting it all together, and I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to arrange it. So this is going to be a real challenge. So the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe diorama is in place on my wall, below barrels at a bond, and then the stuff I did for Gaslands, and then on top my entry for the post-apocalyptic, easy for me to say, vehicle. So I'm pretty pleased with how that looks. I think it looks really, really nice in there. It's quite low to the ground. There's the ground, so Rosie's already seen it and touched it, so we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, very, very happy to have got it done and to get it mounted in place. So there you are, as you see, mostly one project, and then a little wrap up at the end of a few other bits and pieces I've done. Most of my progress this week has been entirely done while the kettle's been boiling, just behind me there. So I will film a little bit, put the kettle on, do the hobbying while it boils, and then I can go back to my desk and continue working. And that has been really productive for me this week, as you can see. Managed to get quite a lot done. But yeah, it's tough when you haven't got time, and I'm sure that a lot of you out there understand and appreciate that. So thanks so much for watching, particularly if you've got this far. I know these are quite long videos compared to most, but I love making them, and enough people of you like watching them. So yeah, thank you for making it this far. Do pop a comment below. I do love to hear it from you, and I do reply to them all. And I'll wrap up by saying, as I always do, thanks for watching, really, and please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.